Okay, so in the last class, I was talking about the stump functions and Stump's method for determining the exact location of the roots. So I we all saw that how to find out the auxiliary functions. Okay, and we also did a sum. Now the last question that we have done, that has no multiple roots. How do I know that that has no multiple roots? Because the last remainder was a constant. So whenever a last remainder is a constant, keep that in mind, it has no multiple roots. But I had also told you that if your last remainder is some function of x having some degree at least 1, then it will have some multiple roots. Okay, so for multiple roots the theorem is a bit different. So equal roots or multiple roots. So for equal roots the theorem is a bit different. We do not count the multiple roots twice. Okay, it will be counted only once. Even if a root exists maybe for 5 times, but we the in the stumps method will count it just once. So let me write down the statement of Stump's theorem for equal roots. So let fx be a polynomial with real coefficients and a and b are real numbers. Okay, and a less than b, the number of real roots of the equation fx equals to 0 lying between a and b Now they have written a very important point here. This you have to keep in mind. A multiple root if there be any being counted once only. So suppose your equation has a root 2 which appears 3 times. The arithmetic mean of that root, arithmetic multiplicity of that root is suppose 3, but we'll count that as once. Okay, so multiple root if there be any being counted once only. So we will not count multiple roots as twice. Keep that in mind. Is equal to the excess. The rule is exactly same, just extra this part has come, is equal to the excess of the number of changes of signs in the sequence of stump functions fx f1x frx when x equals to a over the number of changes of sign in the sequence when x equals to. So the rule is almost same which I have given for all roots unequal. So if it has some equal roots or multiple roots, the only change that had occurred is it will be counted only once. Okay, like suppose if your equation has root 1, 1, 2, 3, it is a 4-degree equation. Suppose it has got all real roots. So if this happens, then according to the Stumps method, you will get this will be counted just once. So the Stumps function, the Stumps method will tell you that 1 root, 2 root and 3 root are there. It will not tell you that there are 4 roots, it will just tell you there are 3 roots. So keep that in mind. We have to understand that there is one multiple root, and that we can understand by looking at the last remainder. So that means if the last remainder is some polynomial of x, you can understand that something is a multiple root. So let me take a question, everything will be clear then. The question is this. Find the number. So this is the question. Find the number and position of real roots. Find the number and position of real roots of the equation. The equation is x to the power 4 minus 6x cube plus 10x square minus 6x plus 1 equals to 0. Let me check the question again. X to the power 4 minus 6x cube plus 10x square minus 6x plus 1. Okay. So you know the rule, how to start. So the first rule being, we take that as some polynomial fx and find its derivative. So let fx equals to this. Let's find its derivative. I'll call that as f1x. So what is f1x? 4x cube minus 18x square plus 20x minus 6. We can remove a factor 2. So f1x can be rewritten like this. By removing a factor 2, I can divide by any positive number without any hesitation. So removing, you can write dividing by 2. You can divide by or multiply by positive numbers, not negative numbers. So let's find out the let's start the process of finding the remainders. So we'll divide fx by f1x. We'll divide fx by f1x and change the sign of the remainder before taking it as a next divisor. Okay. So let's find out the HCF. So it is f1x was 2x cube minus 9x squared plus 10x minus 3. I have to divide this by, this. So I have this. So I know what to do. So let's do it. So I have to take here half, because 2 into half is 1, and then x. So just multiply each of them by half. So what will that become? 2 into half is 1, then x to the power 4, so that will get cancelled. Minus 9 by 2x cube plus 10 by 2 is 5x square minus 3 by 2x. So minus plus minus plus getting cancelled. Minus 6 minus 4.5, right? So minus 6 minus 4.5 minus 10.5, that is minus 21 by 2 x cube. Sorry, this is plus. So 9 by 2 minus 6, it will come in minus then, no? 9 by 2 minus 6, so 2 6 are 12, 9 minus 12 is minus, so minus 3 by 2. So this will become minus 3 by 2 x cube. What I have this? 10x square minus 5x square is 5x square. And what is this? Again 3 by 2 minus 6. So this will become minus 12. 3 minus 12 minus 9 by 2. So what you can do? You can multiply by 2 to make it simple. Okay, that is allowed. So what I can do is minus, okay, I'll multiply by 2, so minus, see, this is not the remainder now because I can divide it further, but just I'm multiplying by 2 so that things becomes very simple to compute. Okay, so still there is a problem because I need a 2 here. I'll multiply by 2 again, so that will become minus 6x cube plus 20x square minus 18x. Why I am doing it? Because I do not want a fraction here. I could have also done that in the first line also, to multiply this by 2. So now I will take what I need. I need minus 3, nothing else, right? Minus 3. So 2 into minus 3 is minus 6x cube. Minus 9 into minus 3 is plus 27x square. Plus into minus is minus 10x into 3, minus 3 is minus 30x. Okay, this is a number also, I forgot to take that. I have to copy here plus 1. So this will become plus 2. This will become plus 4. So plus 4 here, because I am multiplying that also, no? Oh no, minus 3 into minus 3 is plus 9. So just plus minus minus 7x square. So how much? This is plus 12x minus 5. So I cannot divide further because the degree is 2 and the divisor's degree is 3. So this is your next remainder. So according to the Stumps theory, what I know, if 2x is this quantity by changing the sign. So this will become 7x square minus 12x plus 5, because we changed the sign before doing it. Did you understand the process? So always remember, you can multiply by any number to the given equation, to the given things. Like to remove this half also, I could have multiplied here by 2 without any hesitation. That will again give you the same remainder. Okay. Now next step is again the same logic. Now this is your next divisor. And this will be your dividends. 2x cube minus 9x square plus 10x minus 3. So this is my next dividend. Okay. Now again, just to make things simple, I will multiply by 7 here, because I have to take here a fractional quantity which will be very much hectic to compute. So I could have done this here also, but I forgot. Okay, hold on. So keep one thing in mind, you can always multiply by positive numbers. Now you see, again to divide this, you have to take here 7 by 2. Oh sorry, 2 by 7, which will make again things problematic. So what I'll do, I'll first multiply this by 7. So this will become 14x cube minus 7 9s is 63x square, 7 10s is 70x, 7 3s is 21. Now I will take 2 here, x here, right? Because now things have become simple. 7 2s are 14x cube, 12 2s are 24x square, 5 into 2x is 5 into 2x is 10x. So minus plus minus getting cancelled. Excuse me. So 63 minus 24. So this is 9, this is 5. So minus 39x square. Minus 39x square. So again minus, this will become minus, sorry, plus 60x, and this is becoming minus 21. Copy it as it is, right? So what you can do, you can again multiply by some number, right, to make this divisible by 7, to make this divisible by 7. So please multiply this by 7, each of the quantities by 7. So 39 into 7, 7 9s are 63, 6 carat, 7 3s are 21, 21 plus 6 is 27, so 273 x squared, right? And then plus 60 into 7, so 6 7s are 42, so 420x minus 21 into 7, 7 1 is 7, 7 2 is 14, 147. So now I know I have to take here minus 39, because 39 into 7 is this quantity, right? So minus 39 only. So this will become minus 273 x squared. So minus minus is plus 12 into 39. So 39 into 12, it will be 2 9s are 18, or 2 3s are 617, and this is becoming 39. So 8, 16 ka 1, so 468, and this is becoming then 5 into 39. So 39 into 5 is minus minus plus minus minus 45 is 200, 195, no? 39 into 5, 5 9s are 45, 5 is 15, 195. So let's do this. This is becoming plus minus plus. This is getting cancelled. Minus, so 68 minus 20, 48x, minus plus is, this plus will come 195 minus 147. That will be 18, no, I guess. No, very big number. Minus 147. 15 minus 7 is 8. This is 8, 8 minus 4 is 48. So we cannot divide further because this happens. So as already mentioned, you can make this simple again by multiplying a positive quantity or by dividing a positive quantity. That is allowed. So this is nothing but I am multiplying by, I am dividing by 48. I cannot divide by minus 48, remember. I can only multiply and divide by positive quantity. So what is my next one? F3x is nothing but, you have to change the sign, x minus 1. This is your F3x. So now what we will do, this as your next divisor and this as your next dividend, right? So we'll divide this by this by this, right? So the process is actually lengthy process, right? As already said, Sturm's method will take a lot of time to do. So now I will divide by x minus 1 and the polynomial being 7x squared minus 12x plus 5. So it is 7 times x, so 7x squared minus plus is minus 7x. So this is becoming minus, this is becoming plus, getting cancelled, minus 5x plus 5 taking minus. So minus 5 So minus 5x plus 5 minus. This time we are happy that our remainder is becoming 0. Remainder is becoming 0. So what is it? F4x? It is 0. So that means we don't care about this. So what have we understood? That the HCF is x minus 1 actually. Okay, that means it has got some multiple roots, because we will not write this, because f4x is 0, so that will not give you any extra changes in sign, because we do not consider 0 as anything. So we will not write this and waste our time. So we write here f3x divides f2x without a remainder, or 0 remainder, right? Without any remainder. The remainder is 0, that means. So therefore the given equation has multiple roots. So how did I understood that the given equation has multiple roots? By looking at this, because the last remainder is 0. So by definition of HCF, the last non-zero divisor or last non-zero remainder is your HCF. So the HCF of the function and its derivative is x minus 1. And if you remember the concept of multiple roots, that means this is a factor of both fx and f1x, and basically the one is a multiple root. So one occurs twice as a root for the given equation. So this is very much important. Okay, so clearly 1 is a double root. So how did I understood that it is a double root and not more than that? So if your remainder is x minus 1, keep that in mind. This will be a factor of fx, right? If your remainder is x minus alpha whole square, remember, then x minus alpha whole cube will be a factor of fx. So alpha will be a triple root. So remember, we have done this kind of questions also, and this is like a theory of multiple roots. So just by looking at the last non-zero remainder, which is x minus 1, I can understand that why 1 is a root, because if I equate x minus 1 to 0, what I'll get? X equals to 1. And why it is a double root? Remember, whatever power is here, one more power will appear in the function. So 1 is a double root. So I am talking about multiple roots. 1 appears twice. But according to the Stump's theory, what we understood that whenever there is a multiple root, it will be counted only once. So let's see what happens. So I have all of them. So let's see now the position, right? So fx, f1x, f2x, f3x. We will not talk about f4x, but this is all 0, so no need to write. That will not give any changes in sign. So changes of sign, a number of changes of sign to be more precise. So we have to first locate the roots. So location will take place for 3 things: minus infinity, 0, infinity. So this will first give me where will the roots lie. Okay, which roots are positive, which roots are negative, all those things will be given to us. So whenever, so I hope you have the function. So if you have f2x, here, you can see from here only, no? Put here minus infinity, so that will be plus. As already mentioned, when you are putting infinity or minus infinity, keep that in mind, only this thing will matter. Okay, so when I am putting minus infinity, minus square is plus, so this will become positive. I'm talking about f2x, okay? And when I am putting infinity, it will become plus. And then 0, this is 0, this is 0, it is 5. So this is the sign of f2x at these 3 values. Now the sign of f3x, let me determine. This is a f3x, remember. So what is that? This is when I'm putting minus infinity, it is becoming negative. 0, it is becoming negative. At infinity, it is becoming positive. Because very big number minus 1 is only positive. We have to determine the signs of this also. So I have not written it down here. Let me write it somewhere. So what was the function? I'm just writing it for the reference. So the function is x to the power 4 minus 6x square, 6x cube plus 10x square minus 6x plus 1, and the derivative I know with by removing the factor 2, 2x cube minus 9x square plus 10x minus 3. Okay. So put here infinity, minus infinity, so minus infinity to the power 4 will be positive. Only this will matter, plus, and at 0 I am getting plus 1, that is plus. Right. And f1x, when I am putting minus infinity, minus, because minus infinity cube is minus. When I am putting 0, it is minus, because minus 3. When I am putting infinity, it is plus. So I have this. So what is the changes in sign? 1, 2, 3. 3 changes in sign. 1, 2, 3. 3 changes in sign. 1, 2, no change. No change, no change, no change. 0. So no change here. So what do we understand? That there is no negative root. Right? There is no negative root. But how many changes of signs here? 3 changes of sign. That means there are 3 positive roots. So the equation has 3 distinct, because we are not counting with the multiplicity, remember, 3 distinct roots. So Stump's theory told us that there are 3 distinct roots and distinct positive roots. 3 distinct positive roots. So according to Stump theory, what did we understand? That whenever there is a double root, that is always counted once. So it has just told you that how many roots are distinct. There are 3 roots. 3 roots are distinct. But I already know that 1 is a double root. That means the equation has 3 distinct positive roots. But one of them is a double root. So do not get confused. My point is this: as written in the statement of the theorem for equal roots, we will not count. The Stump theory is not counting 1 twice. See, 1 lies in this interval. It is just counting 1 once only, because distinct. But beforehand, I know that 1 is a double root. So how many roots are there? There are altogether 4 roots. All are real. Okay, and all are positive. But one of them is a double root. So therefore, the equation has all 4 real roots. Did you understand my point? Now I have talked about the number of real roots. Now I'll talk about the position. Okay. So let me talk about the position of, or location of roots, or position of roots. So location of roots. So I will take some intervals that will contain roots, right? So let me take, so I will not take negative numbers, because see, this is the real line. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is minus 1, this is minus 2. So I know all the real root are after 0, because as you know that all the roots are positive. So no root will lie in this subinterval, or in this subinterval no roots will lie. So all the roots will lie after 0, right? But I know one root is here. So I will take the first interval to 0 to suppose half, and then half to 2. Because I know one root is 1. So that is the reason I will take one subinterval to be maybe suppose half to 2 and then 0, 0 to half and half to 2. So let me take the location. So I am taking 0, I am taking half. So I don't know whether a root will lie here or not, but I know a root will lie here. One is a double root, I know, so one will lie here in this interval. Maybe let's take 2 to 3, 3 to 4 and check. If all the roots are coming in this sub intervals, alright. Otherwise I'll take 5, 6, 7, 8 and so on. And I have to take again fx, f1x, f2x, f3x, and again changes of sign. I have this, I have this, I have this. So we have to see the changes in sign. When 0, so please check the signs, okay? That will take us some time. Okay, so let me write all the functions here again just to refer, because I have to turn the pages, okay? So let me write all the functions here. So just for reference, I have written these values here so that I can see. So put 0 in each of them, or suppose I'll do one by one. I'll take f3x and I'll put 0. When I'm putting it 0, this is minus 1, so this will be minus. When I'm putting half, so half minus 1. Half minus 1 is nothing but minus half, so again the sign is minus. Put 2, 3, 4, it will be plus, plus, plus. So I have determined the sign of f3x. Now let's determine the sign of f2x. So it is 12x. So when I'm putting it 0, it is plus. When I'm putting it half, so 7 into half square, that means 7 by 4. 12 into half is 6 plus 5. This is positive, no? No. Yeah, this is positive. At half it is positive. And 2, 3, 4. It will be positive at 2, at 3, at 4. You may check. Yes, yes. Because this will become a big quantity. So 2 square is 4. 28 minus 24. Yeah, definitely. So plus, plus, plus. So you'll similarly put the values here, that will take some time. So I'm not doing it, I'll just copy it from I've done previously. I'll copy it, so plus, minus, 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 plus. And here the sign you'll get is minus 0. Okay. Now count the changes of sign. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, so no change. 1, 1, 0. So how many changes of sign? 1 changes of sign. That means there is a root between 0 and half. One root between 0 and 1. 0 and half. These are changes in sign is 1. So there is a 1 root between half and 2, and I know that root between half and 2, the root is 1. Okay. There is no root lying between 2 and 3, but the change in sign is 1. So there is 1 root lying between 3 and 4. Okay. So how will I conclude? So 1 root lies between 0 and half. 1 root, and I know this root, the double root 1. Lies between 0 and half. Okay, and 1 root lies between 3 and 4. 1 root lies between 3 and 4. So now you see, you might be asking that, sir, why did you choose half and no other number? You could have chosen another number also. You could have chosen 3 by 4, suppose. Instead of taking 3 to 4, you could have chosen 3 to 5. So that is completely up to you. That is also correct, because if a root lies between 3 and 4, the root will definitely lie between 3 and 5 and 2 and 5 and so on. Okay, so that is completely up to you. So there is no problem in that, but We'll try to choose as small interval as possible, but again that will lead to lot of calculations, but this is the idea. So I have done the stum theory for unequal roots and for equal roots as well. Do you want to ask anything?